if you were ordered to pay $250 million in damages to family, you might be asking, we take another close look at this. Let's just make sure that everything's okay. You need to make sure this is a fair trial. So I'm not remotely surprised by this, but Johns Hopkins Hospital requesting a new trial amid allegations of juror misconduct in the Take Care of Maya case. That seems to be the thing this year.
Yeah.
Juror misconduct seems to be quite the issue. And I'm looking forward actually be talking with Eric Bland next week on the show. He's, of course, the attorney for Gloria Satterfield and several of the jurors that were in the Alec Murdaugh trial. He's obviously greatly involved. He was at the hearing the other day, represented him. Alec had some few choice words for him. But I'm really curious to get his take on what's going on in that case with the jury tampering allegations against Becky Hill.
Am I mixing up my court cases? and maybe I am, but didn't they have an issue with a juror in the Maya trial? Weren't they concerned that they're asking too many questions, or is this some other trial I'm confusing it with?
I'm talking about that case for a moment, but we're going to talk about Johns Hopkins here in a second. I don't know what this is the first I remember hearing about the jury issues with the Take Care of Maya case. Might have been something, I don't know. I just, might have been lost in the minutia of everything. But this case, another one where you're hearing allegations of jury misconduct. The legal battle surrounding the case against Maya Kowalski is, of course, featured in that Netflix documentary worth watching. It's called Take Care of Maya. I will say it is very one-sided, but it will get you, riled up and into this case. But do take a look at things from both sides. The hospital alleges juror misconduct during the original proceedings, casting the shadow now over the multi-million-dollar verdict awarded to Maya and her family. And not surprised here that there's not this, there's not appeals, they're going to go down every route to delay delivering $250 million or getting it dismissed or getting it lowered. We'll see. This will take years for a check to be written of any semblance. It's unfortunately not just over and done. Fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know, depending how you look at it, that there are these avenues of appeal. Anyway, that lengthy legal battle, of course, we've covered it. We've had the trial audio and such for you over the last several months. The lawsuit stemmed from allegations that the hospital accused Maya's mother, Beata Kowalski, of Munchausen-by-proxy, which eventually led to her tragic suicide. While the hospital was found liable on all counts, including false imprisonment, battery, and intentionally inflicting emotional distress on both Maya and her mother, the institution now requests a retrial. The request hinges on allegations of juror misconduct, specifically involving juror number 1, who also served as the panel's foreperson.
Yes.
Hospital's legal team filed a motion November 22nd requesting an interview with juror number 1. Sworn affidavit accompanying the motion claims that there was potentially harmful and presumptively prejudicial conduct by the juror and his wife. During the trial, the jury was not sequestered. Attorneys for the hospital contend that the social media post by the juror's wife and the juror himself after the trial suggest inappropriate conversations during the proceedings. People.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Stay the fuck off social media.
Well, yeah, that's a big thing. I was called for jury duty this past summer.
Yeah, and all you had to do was say, I do true crime. Bye.
Well, yeah, and that got me out. And I was so thankful. It was a case of child pornography. And when they ask what you do for a living. And as soon as I said what I do, like head swiveled. And I was never more thankful, because I know a lot of people are like, it's a duty. It's an honor to serve. I didn't want to be listening to a child pornography case all day long. That wasn't something I wanted to do. But I got to thinking, I don't know how I could come home and not talk about what I heard, because when I as soon as I got in the parking lot, when they booted my ass out of there, the first thing I did was text people I knew, like, oh my God, you won't believe this.
Yeah.
So I'm that person. I probably would be conversing with my spouse saying, here's what happened today. Sure. Now, should you put that on social media? Abso-fucking-lutely not.
Yeah, that's the problem here. And this is, it baffles me how dense and stupid people can be. They don't automatically, there's something that just doesn't kick into their brain that says, hey, my spouse is on this very high profile case right now as a juror. Maybe I shouldn't be on social media talking about it because, and they're like, well, it's my right. I have every right. No, you really don't. You don't at that point, because you could affect all these people's lives, all those jurors who spent all those months. How long? This trial went on for more than a month. It was for a long time.
Yeah, I think it was like 34, 35 days.
All the money. And it doesn't even matter what side you're on. All the money that's spent on a trial like this, including the Kowalskis, especially if you're on their side. It's like, you want to derail this for them too? Because you're doing exactly that. But you
have a specific set of instructions you're supposed to follow. And part of it is you don't discuss this with anybody else. Yeah. And we all know you're going to go home, and while you're lying in bed trying to fall asleep and everything's rolling through your head, you're going to maybe mention something to your spouse. I mean, who's not going to do that?
Sure. And that's within reason. I mean, it probably violates the law, but it is within reason, I think, of things that happen that will never come out, will never be an issue, because you're not broadcasting it. Everybody with this, nobody knows what to do with a microphone. That's the problem. You and me, we're professionally trained with a microphone on what to say and what not to say. Now everybody has a microphone, and everybody thinks every random thought that pops into their head should be broadcast to the fucking world. Yeah, no,
that's exactly
it shouldn't. Because there's plenty of thoughts I have that I don't broadcast to the world. And we got mics. But anyway, the motion claims here that on a daily basis, juror number one's wife spent hours online engaged in commentary about the trial proceeding, both in real time and after the trial ended. The motion also claims that the juror's wife attended the trial in person. And let's add this to it.
That's weird.
With a social media influencer known as Jules, who was described as being closely aligned with the plaintiffs. Importantly, the hospital's attorney asserted that the juror failed to alert the court about his wife's presence in the courtroom.
Isn't that weird, though? I mean, it would have been weird for me to be at that trial and my husband showed up. And actually, my husband could technically be there because of certain things that he does for a living. So he could have been there, but he wouldn't have been there because he didn't have a place to be there. He didn't have a reason. It would have been weird.
The hospital's lawyers accused the juror of developing a shared bias in favor of the plaintiffs and engaging in improper internet research regarding case-related issues during the trial. This sounds like a pretty good case if they can prove it. And this could very likely end in either a retrial or just a total dismissal of these charges. And then the Kowalskis get absolutely nothing. The Kowalskis should sue juror number one. I don't know if you can do that, but I mean, because you have this, you went through hell to get this story told and out there, and it went through hell in court. And because of one dumbass and his wife who want attention on social media, the whole thing goes to hell. You fucking idiots. You fucking idiots.
I almost wonder if people who are on these high profile cases, if their social media accounts shouldn't be shut down for that time period.
Just stop. Just don't do it. I mean, geez, how dumb are these people?
But you're told, I mean, when you come back into the courtroom, did you talk to anybody about this? Were you on social media? Were you on the internet? No. The answers are no. Well, apparently you were.
During the initial trial, the hospital's legal team had requested, and this is why you do this stuff in order, because at the end you can go back on appeal, requested juror number one's removal, reciting suspicious of bias in favor of the plaintiffs. When you do jury selection, you have this. If they requested, it was denied. Juror stayed on. They kept an eye on juror. They kept an eye on every single juror and everybody that they knew, because that's what they're going to do, because they don't want to have to pay this out. That's what you do when you have the defense here. This is their job. Because if there is bias, that needs to be weeded out. The Kowalski's family legal victory, of course, came after that tumultuous ordeal during which Maya, then 9 years old, sought medical attention for complex regional pain syndrome at Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital. Despite ongoing ketamine infusion therapy, Maya's condition was allegedly dismissed by hospital personnel. When Beata Kowalski, a nurse, advocated for her daughter's treatment, doctors raised suspicions of Munchausen-by-proxy, ultimately leading to Maya's separation from her mother. After 87 days apart, Beata took her own life at the age of 43. Now, the behavior of Beata in the hospital, very questionable. Initially, I think the hospital did everything right. Now, the imprisonment and all of that, that's where things got really fucked up, especially when the social worker came in. But initially, you have someone who appears to be a bit unhinged, which Beata was. Not speaking ill of the dead, I'm just speaking facts to truth of what happened, and is advocate and saying, you need to give my daughter these ridiculous amounts of ketamine, which could potentially kill your daughter. And had the hospital followed that and killed the daughter, guess what? You'd have another lawsuit right there, too. The big problem came in here after all of that. During the trial, the Kowalski's family lawyer, Mr. Anderson, argued that Maya had been falsely imprisoned and battered and denied communication with her family. The jury unanimously found in favor of the plaintiffs on all counts. Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital has consistently denied the allegations and insisted that they had no harmful intent toward Ms. Kowalski. Following the verdict earlier this month, the hospital launched an appeal to challenge the decision. Maya also, by the way, filed that criminal complaint alleging sex abuse by the hospital, a claim that emerged during the trial. The hospital spokesperson confirmed they investigated the allegations and contacted law enforcement, emphasizing their commitment to patient safety. So
there's a lot that's screwed up with this case. And even the fact, I mean, let's just say juror number one blew some things out of the water. It still feels like something was horrifically wrong with their treatment of Maya.
Without a doubt, they fucked it up. Without a doubt, the social worker that was working for the hospital was very monstrous in the way that she handled Maya. I mean, and yeah, they should be at fault. They are at fault. Are they $250 million at fault? Well, that's what the court said. But at the end of the day, again, it's like Alec Murdaugh. Go back to that. No matter what kind of monster they are, if the proceedings themselves, if the actual structure in which we find people innocent and guilty has been flawed, has been tampered with, has been abused in some way, shape, or form, yeah, sorry, you got to redo it then. And it would be very interesting to see where this all goes. Johns Hopkins has every right, if this is true, to be bringing this up.
Yeah, it's just an incredible waste of taxpayers' money, and an incredible waste for this girl too, who went through hell, lost her mom, went through this trial, and now might have to do it all over again.
I don't know. Do you do it all over again if you're them? I don't know. I mean, it's
no. What do you do?
Well, it's a civil case. They can choose not to.
Oh, God.
They can just say, look, we made our point. If the goal was to make the point of finding fault, they proved it. If the goal was to make $250 million, then you probably have to do it again.
Yeah, but part of it was punitive damages, though, that they wanted to punish the hospital. Are they going to change the way they do things, or does it need to affect their pocketbook for them to change things?
Oh, I'm going to guess they're changing things. I'm going to guess the fact that they were found guilty on this and how close it is right now to them having to write that check. If you didn't have juror number one, they try and appeal this, I'm sure, in some way, shape, or form. But this seems like the first line of defense, if you will, the first thing they're going to throw out there, because it's the strongest to argue on an appeal here would be this, is juror misconduct.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. Oof.
So the Take Care of Maya case, as we're finding out now, far from over.
Sick of the ads?
We are too.
Start listening with no commercials now and get access to all of our episodes in advance of everyone else.
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
True Crime Today Premium Plus.
Sign up now.